during our trying to prepare for the audit, we found a lot of discrepancies where, the chief was saying he was giving fuel to other officers and he was actually putting it in his girlfriend's car or things like that. So,
Okay.
The chief now was the assistant chief then,
Okay.
and she said, look, I'm not going to give anything over. She said, but I will when you come in. She's afraid of retaliation because,
Sure.
luckily you don't have any ties to any of it. So
No.
she was afraid that one of the state police would come in that knew Scott's dad or something like that, and there would be some retaliation back. So,
Okay. I don't know Scott or his dad. I know his dad apparently was well respected when he worked up there, but I don't know either one of them. So.
And his dad's a great guy. That's the thing, and which I took a little flack from firing him just because his dad was a great guy.
Yeah.
But Scott's not cut from the same cloth. So.
Okay.
Scott ordered thousands of dollars worth of product. Well, Scott was also a rep selling products.
So he was making money on the back end?
Man, I'm telling you, we got council meetings where we told him, if you order any more, we're going to fire you.
Okay.
And he kept ordering to where he overspent his budget by thousands of dollars.
Okay.
And he ordered new consoles. We bought cars that had consoles in them. He ordered new consoles, $4,000, because he said he didn't like the armrest.
I got you.
And so I was like, there's another reason why you're ordering this stuff. You don't order $4,000 worth of consoles.
Yeah.
Because of the armrest.
Right.
So, but we were going to check and see. I'm sure there was more involved. He was making money in the deal. And I think the best thing to do would be, like I say, you can sit down. I've got the city water clerk, the city superintendent. He was involved in some of it when we were continuously telling Scott to quit ordering.
Right.
And, and he's been here 27 years.
Yeah.
And he's the one told me, he said, you're going to end up going to jail if you don't stop this. You have to put a stop. So I put a purchase order program in place, and I said, no more ordering. I said, Scott, you cannot order another thing, not even a pack of bubble gum. So he went and forged the superintendent's name on the charge accounts.
Okay.
And continued to charge anyway.
Okay.
And put down that it was approved through the superintendent. Well, I've got affidavits from the superintendent saying no, that never happened.
Okay.
And then he put down travel expenses for the officers, and they never traveled one time. There was no out of class, no out of town training. There was nothing.
Okay.
And he was putting down travel expense for officers, and they've got, he said he'd signed an affidavit stating that he's never received any travel expense, no fuel for his personal vehicles, nothing.
Right.
And then he charged fuel for a homeless guy. On the ticket it says $50 for a homeless guy.
Yeah.
So.
I got you.
So yeah,
Okay.
man, it gets pretty deep in there.
Okay.
And like I said, we don't really pay attention to it because the previous mayor had put him in control of the charge counts and all that.
Yeah.
So nobody was looking at him because
Right.
he was actually the one that gets the red flags if the mileage doesn't matter. So,
Right.
So when I started pulling everything, because we had a $1,000 fuel bill, well, we're a town of 800 people.
Right.
And that's where, I was like, something ain't right. Like, it's, you don't go to $1,000 just all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So that's when we started pulling it. And when I started pulling it, he wouldn't come in. I tried 5 days, man. I tried to contact him over and over saying it's mandatory you come in and meet with me and the other, superintendent. He wouldn't do it. Wouldn't answer the phone call, wouldn't do anything. So finally, I sent him a text, and I said, as of 5 o'clock today, you're terminated. You can resign. Or, we will terminate you, and then we'll have a fresh release. So,
Okay.
And I don't know if there's a way to stop him from contacting all the officers,
Yeah.
but he calls them all the time.
Yeah.
The chief sent a memo out telling them not to answer and to block his call. If he needs us, he can call 911.
Yeah.
But he's continually calling them and pumping them for information and all that.
Okay.
And then another person you need to talk to when you get there would be the sheriff, because there was some allegations that someone had given Scott $500 cash for a shop with a cop, and it never got turned in.
Okay.
And so there was some stuff going on there, and the sheriff, asked me about it. He thinks that there was more to it, along with all the other officers. They said there was some shady stuff that Scott was doing. He's dating a girl that's pretty bad on drugs, selling drugs and meth and all that. And, he had went about a week or two before I fired him. He went to all the drug dealers that she dealt with and told them that he would let them deal drugs as long as they quit dealing to her. That he'd leave them alone. He went to them about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning and said, you know, if you give anything to her again, I'm coming after you. You leave her alone and I'll leave you alone.
Yeah.
And and then he contacted one of the officers. They were doing a drug bust, or a roundup, I guess what they call it, the other day, and he contacted one of the sheriff's officers asking them if she was on it. So,
Okay.
Yeah, there's quite a few people that you'll need to talk to, but
Okay.
he's done some shady stuff and all that. We just need to get to the bottom of it. He wouldn't release any of that stuff to us, his cell phone or nothing like that either, for almost 2 weeks until he cleared it all.
Okay.
So I know that y'all got a way of going back and getting a lot of it off there, but
so he had a city cell phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, had a city cell phone and a laptop, and he wouldn't release either one of them for almost 2 weeks. And when we got them back, they were all cleared.
Okay.
And I'm actually terminating our attorney tonight.
Who is y'all's current attorney?
The current one is Holly Greenway.
Okay.
And the problem I have with her is she's the one that was sleeping with the chief.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay. I got you.
So, I'm telling you, man, this thing runs too deep. So,
okay.
But you know, the best thing to do on that was, you know, in my opinion, was to just start with a clean slate.
Okay.
I told them from the get-go that something bad was going to happen. And I was like, I was like, no fraternizing, and, you know, but I couldn't do anything because she was a contract laborer.
Gotcha.
And, of course, then all this stuff blew up, and then it made me look bad because she was sleeping with him.
Yeah.
And they had just split up, so then he tried to spin it as if it was her with a personal agenda trying to destroy him. That's what he told the paper, was she was trying to destroy him.
Okay.
So, you know, so the only thing I really know to do, like I say, would be just clean house.
These are the two computers.
Okay.
One of them that he used. Hey, Casey.
Yes.
Can you tell me which one of these? What does that say?
The one that says Phil's Story would
Which
be
is
the
that one?
one that he worked out of the black car.
Okay.
That one should be the one that he had photos and stuff in. That's
That is Scott Hart's car.
yes.
Okay. All right.
Because that's the one
Sorry.
he originally started with.
Okay. So let me just put a sticky note on them so that we kind
And
of.
then when his car broke down, that one migrated.
Migrated, huh?
Yeah.
And after he left that, I was originally going to start in on cleaning the computers out because I do all the IT stuff. And as soon as I opened that one up and seen that there was photo files of people, I said, this needs to go down.
What kind of photos are we talking about?
Just personal, I guess personal.
Well-
I don't know what all's on there. As soon as I seen that, I told her that.
I don't know that there's anything explicit or anything like that, but there's like, I know that on this one, there's pictures of him and the city attorney who he was dating for a while and so on and so forth.
And that's, as soon as I seen that was on there with everything that's been going on, I told her that they need to be looked at before we do anything to them. Just to, that way
There's things in there called Holly files, and it may be spelled with an IE. The mayor said to leave this. He used this.
Okay.
Was his PDF.
We need to talk about what may or not be on this stuff.
Yeah.
If we don't have a reason to look at this
Yeah,
for
right.
anything criminal,
Right.
we can't waste, weeks of our people's time just going through
Right.
computers for nothing. But after talking to the mayor, I don't know what the mayor's got. what he says is on these computers, it's just gonna.
Yeah, and I don't know either, because I have a computer exactly like this, but it has never been used by anyone up until now, because now I'm sharing it for them to run ACIC and different things in their car. It has never been used by anyone else but me.
Okay.
So,
Chief, like I told you, I'm from Little Rock. I don't know a whole lot about what's going on up here. I've read just a little bit in the paper.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's been a lot of headbutting and accusations being thrown around. And I'm here to gather as much information as I can. We'll sort through it. We'll prove what we can prove. Anything we can't prove, we can't prove it.
Right.
And eventually we'll just let the prosecutor make a determination on what happens with this, if anything.
right.
I know that they told me that maybe you had been asked to falsify a report. I don't know if that's true. I know those are pretty serious accusations. All I want to do with you today is give me a rundown of what's going on, and then things that you have observed, and anything you think that I need to look into while I'm up here. Okay, because my request is very broad. It's a request to investigate possible theft and fraud. That could be,
Yeah. Oh
that
gosh.
could be
Yeah.
me taking this and walking out the door. I mean, that could be anything.
Right.
So I'm trying to narrow it down and get a good sense of where I need to go.
And Scott wanted to put all new equipment in the cars, including consoles. And the cars had consoles in them already, but anyway, okay. And so,
So y'all had cars with consoles, and he wanted to
right.
change them out.
And I later found that because where we ordered them from, and I don't, if you need to get it, I'm good. I later found that where we got them from is a part of Code 3, which put in my mind an assumption that he could have made money from that.
What is Code 3?
Code 3 is a dealer for like bar lights and police vehicle accessories. It's a company that he sold for out of his company, which is CDS Marketing.
Okay, so Code 3 is the larger company.
Right, and then he had would sell people equipment through his company. Code 3, he'd sell Code 3 equipment through his company, CDS Marketing.
Hold on one second.
Okay. I really didn't want to believe that he was trying to put money in his own pocket to just, I just kind of didn't take, we just don't want to believe that. We want things to go good. And anyway, and when I approached him about June, and I said, Scott, we're running out of money. We're about to be broke in our budget, because he had tried to move. I mean, we had money for a new truck when I did the budget, and he became chief right after the budget was approved. And instead he bought 2 cars, and then there was money left over for, whatever. And he said, he got mad at me, and he said, it's none of your business what I do. The budget is intended to spend, and you're supposed to spend every dime, and in fact we need more money. And I'm thinking, well, there's no more money. We're never going to make it to the end of the year, and we're in June. And I mean, I try to explain that there's line items for things. And anyway, it just kind of went from there. He pretty much shut me out at that point, because.
Were you still were you assistant chief at that point?
Yes.
And were you here before he got here?
I've been here for 5 years. I was here under his dad, who was my chief originally, and then when he retired, Hutch became chief, and I was assistant chief at that point then. And then Hutch got hurt in that same year of July of 15, so I had to step in and just paddle the boat per se. And then I went ahead and put my name in the hat. I didn't want it, still don't, but I didn't want to have to clean up I had to clean up a mess with Hutch. And anyway, and I don't want to work for a jerk. I'm too old, and I'm halfway to retirement, But anyway, so when I knew that he was gonna for sure get it, I withdrew my name. And that was great, and things were good.
Okay.
So I knew he was just not being frugal at all with the money, and it was just going and going and going and going. And to the point where he had to go to council. He had already been to council, like starting in March, moving money around and this and that and the other. And for a while they allowed that, and then they finally caught on that he was just going through money, and and so that's when I started addressing it with the mayor, since he wouldn't listen to me. We're going to be in bad trouble if we don't get a handle on this situation. And that mattered to me, and maybe I was wrong and should have done it differently or kept my mouth shut. I don't really know, but it mattered to me. And he just...
You went to Mayor Jackson?
Yes. And he's continued to call the officers and ask us to run stuff through ACIC. Not me.
Right.
I chewed him out for that and told him not to ever do that again. But, and just like borderline harass us about just trying to get in our minds and screw with us.
Yeah.
The other night when those storms came, he insisted that we set the tornado sirens off, and I mean just things like that. Like,
Still
you
trying
got to
to
be in
achieve.
control,
Yeah.
And it's been terrible.
She still live around here? I
Yeah.
guess?
And his other new girlfriend works down there at the gas station, so if something happens down there, she calls him, and then he wants to call us instead of it going through dispatch and trying to do it the right way, and where everything's recorded and
Yeah.
noted. But he didn't turn in a lot of citations. We went to e-ticket. I'm sure you're familiar with that. Okay. Well, we weren't prepared to, he wanted it all right now, but we didn't have all the stuff. We still don't have the scanners to scan and that's fine. But we weren't set up and prepared to go full-time e-site, But he wanted everybody to start using it anyway. And then there was no paper, and there was no money to buy paper, and all this. So, we're back to handwriting tickets. And they told us at the clerk's office, they told him, you can't do both. And they're not getting submitted right. So the county, they were showing to go to the county instead of the city of Hardy, and we were losing money on, and it screwed the audit all up because of handwritten and e-site tickets. You can't do both. And anyway, so he didn't like that we all weren't writing e-site tickets, so he just didn't turn them in, or he just didn't turn them in because he didn't go, just depending on what the situation then was. So we lost a lot of things, got thrown out in court, or they never got turned in because of that. And it makes us look stupid. On February 6th, the sheriff, Mark Counts, I was up turning in tickets and case files and stuff, and he asked me about it. He said that Scott had arrested a guy back in November, and that he never got any paperwork on the guy, no affidavit, no nothing, and the guy had sat there this whole time until February 6th. And there was no paperwork. Did I know anything about that? The judge ended up cutting him loose because nothing got turned in.
Mm-hmm.
That I was like, no, I don't know anything about that. So the vehicle, come to find out, I'd done some research. The vehicle's still in impound. The victim hadn't been notified, and all this. So I did a narrative. There was no narrative on the report. It was actually started, but then that was it. There was a name in there, and then that was it. So I did a narrative based on that, and I got a hold of the victim, and anyway, and so on and so forth. But I mean, there's no charges on this guy because no work was ever done.
Yeah.
So we've got, I don't know if that guy's going to come back and sue us or what. I don't know. I don't know that. I
Okay.
just am saying that happened, and that actually happened with a few things, but I had a search warrant return for him to take to the judge. It never got taken. It was still, when he left here, he had a briefcase. And this is about half of what was in his briefcase. There was a lot of personal stuff. And there was titles to vehicles and different things. Like our cars that he bought when he first came here were never registered. Nothing, anyway. So all that's crammed in this briefcase. Then I get to trying to sort through it, and this is sorted now, but because I made file folders for everything that was in there. But some things were already in file folders that were like other officers' case files. Like, I don't know why he would have our case files in his briefcase where we didn't have access to them. Instead of, I don't understand that. And there's some missing because of he lost everything that he got his hands on. God love him, but he did. He couldn't keep up with anything. So, like, all of these case files and all of this unfinished work or never started, there's DWIs in here. A guy called me, remember what day it was, he called me, and he had went to jail, he said, and the officer kept his wallet. Oh, it was around December 11th when he went to jail. And this was after Scott left. He said, I heard that he got fired, and I'm wondering where my wallet is. It's the one, he said, I was in the wrong, and so on and so forth, but my children bought me that wallet, and it's very partial to me. And I still don't know where the wallet is. I asked Scott, and he's like, no, I didn't take the wallet. I don't know where it's at, but he don't ever know where anything's at because he's so busy in his mind and doing everything else. That report was never even turned in. I mean, the paperwork, DWI paperwork wasn't even done on it. There's a couple of pieces of paper in here about it, but that's it. Like, there's nothing else. And I found it wadded up in his bag and put it in a case file.
Okay.
I mean, and there are several things like that were just mishandled. Subpoenas, he's not showing up for court. I don't think that matters for crap, but I've got a big case where we did a checkpoint with the Batmobile, and I got a ton of dope, and I mean, the case file on this is that thick, and everything is hinged on the paperwork from the Batmobile, and it's nowhere to be found. So I could lose this big case that I got, delivery and all of that. I've got a car seized. I've got money seized, and anyway, it's just all of this. I guess the only point here I'm making is the lack of taking care of things. Like, Scott tried to handle everybody's calls in the entire county, it seemed like. He needed his hands in that, and that's just my opinion. He worked Highland had worked a shooting, and it bled over into some thefts here in our city. And I don't know really where all this other evidence came from that were like a ton of evidence, but he dragged it into the back office where you see the lieutenant sitting, and just sat there. And then in the meantime, he got fired, and it was never handled. But it sat there for a couple weeks or so. And so what I ended up doing was dragged it into the evidence room. And of course that crammed the evidence room full. It has no label, no case file, no nothing. Nothing was ever handled properly in that.
And that was all from someone else's case?
Well, we don't know whose case it is, and Scott kept telling me, I've got to get with you and finish this and finish that. Well, he has so much stuff that's unfinished, it'd take us a year to catch it up. But he never would. I said, well, whose is it? Where does it belong? I just need to come. And help you fix it. I just need to come and show you, because we were never competent enough to do our jobs. I mean, he had to have control over that. So anyway, he couldn't just tell me what to do with it. He had to do it himself, but he's never shown up.
Yeah.
There's not even a good log. All of our evidence is compromised at this point. Or that's my feeling on that, because there's such a mess of what happened. Which I think I've got this cleared up, but he tried to get one of our officers to run, after he was terminated, run some stuff through ACIC, and just like blew his phone up about it. And then he turned around and I texted him. I said, leave him alone about it. You can't run. He is not going to run anything through ACIC for you, period. And he called me mad because he said, I'm an officer with Jonesboro. And I said, not according to the audit I just did from standards. You're not. You're not an officer anywhere. And I said, and you know as well as I know, that's a felony. And I'm not willing to take a felony for anybody. So that blew up pretty bad. I mean, he's like, I was trying to do it for the marshals. And I said, I'm sure that the marshals have access to ACIC. I mean, for the love of Pete, if anybody do, the U.S. Marshals do. I mean, they probably, like, you know, have a ACIC people sitting in their car with them. You know, I mean, I'm just like, anyway, that got ugly between me and him. He just tries to play you. It's really bad. And what's sad is his family believes a lot of his lies. And
So, did the city do an accident report on that after the fact?
the only accident report I know of is the one he filled out and sent to municipal league. And that shows me as the driver.
Is that true?
No, it's absolutely not true. I never even drove that car ever.
Why did he do that?
What Scott told me was, he said, because by this time, him and Ashton had a falling out, which the actual driver was Ashton Hester. By that time, him and Ashton had a falling out, and he said, I'm going to put you on here because I don't want him to come back on us saying anything, you know, on any problems with Ashton. And I said, no, you're not putting me on that accident report. And which, you know, I probably was borderline insubordination, but I said, you're not going to do that. Do not put me on that accident report. That's a lie, and I will not have that. He said, well, I'll do something different then. Ends up he puts me on it.
Okay.
And it really makes me mad that it's one thing to falsify a document, but it's one thing to falsify a document with your officer's name on it.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if that's a big deal or not as far as falsifying this report. I don't even care, but my name is on it.
Yeah, but you were not the driver.
No, I was never driven that car.
Do you have a number for Mr. Hester?
Yes. There was also an incident, and I don't know if you need to know about this or care or not. I'm not meaning that way, but there was an incident where it was alleged that I've got to have a haircut. It's like about to kill me. That a little girl had some inappropriate pictures on her phone, and apparently she had just, I think what it boiled down to is she'd gotten a new phone and she was just doing selfies, and you know how kids are. But Scott had taken the phones from the parents. There was two phones, or the child's phone and the dad's phone, because it was alleged that the dad was doing this. Well, then I think the phones rode around in the trunk of a car for a little while, and then I guess Scott had actually called Crimes Against Children, and then between all this going on, they ended up gone. They were just gone. Well, he had did all that. I come to find all this paperwork after all this was crammed in the briefcase, the back to the briefcase thing. But what happened is where they ended up being was laying on a shelf in the evidence room, not marked, not nothing, and they had never been sent to state police. State police had, had wanted them and been asking and asking and asking. There was no report, there was no information, no nothing on it. And I'm like, okay, where's the phone? So I had contacted Scott, and he's like, well, they're there. I don't know, look in the evidence locker, look here, look there. Don't know. And finally, when our secretary came in, I said, today your mission is find these phones. Scott says they're here, and I can't find them. So she's also our evidence officer. She actually goes into evidence and digs around and finds them laying on a shelf. The phone cases are missing, but the phones are still there. So at this point, the state police had already been like, well, I've kind of chalked it up to this anyway, and we end up giving the phones back. I don't think there was anything going on. I mean, these people have been here forever, and I think that this little girl, I know this little girl, and I don't know. But anyway, I don't think there was any, and even Scott said that. He said, well, I don't know, I probably should have took them, and, blah, blah. Well, anyway, so there's this potentially serious case of, and then this crap's just wadded up in the bottom of a bag. That is one of, and I could talk John Blue in the face about that. It was just, he was so busy in his own personal life and being controlling of everybody that he didn't have time to do his job.
I was talking to the current chief at Hardy, Tamara Taylor, this morning about some of these issues that have been going on in Hardy. Prosecutors asked for an investigation, so that's kind of what I'm doing here.
Right.
Okay. One thing that he wanted me to check into was this insurance claim on this motor in a 2010 Charger.
Right.
The report on the insurance claim says that Tamara Taylor was driving that vehicle, but she says that maybe that damage might have occurred when you were driving it.
They all know it occurred when I was driving it.
Okay, so it did occur when you were driving it?
Yes, and that mayor also knows it occurred when I was driving it.
Okay.
Because at that time, the same day,
Can you give me an approximate date on that?
I can give you the date.
Yeah.
Man, I just produced that to the reporters here a while back. House.
So what was it that was pushed up into the motor?
That front cradle, there's a front cradle in the front of the motor, and it was pushed backwards into the motor. And I told Scott, I said, hey, if we need to do an accident report or something, I don't care to do it. He said, no, if it's all right, we'll just leave it. He said, but if there's a problem, we may have to eventually do an accident report. And I said, hey, that's fine.
Yeah.
The day that they took that car to have it looked at, he said, I took that car to have it looked at, so we might have to do an accident report. I said, hey, that's fine. Put my name on it. I was driving. I was working that day. It'll be covered. No big deal. I don't care.
Yeah.
He said, okay. So when the insurance agent come and looked at it, he said, hey, man, the damage is probably because this cradle's been pushed back into this motor. Scott called me and said, hey, we're going to do an accident report. I said, hey, I'm good with that. Go ahead. I was driving. No problem. You want me to write a summary or anything? No, I'm good. We're good. I said, all right, good. Good deal.
Okay.
So I just let it go with that.
Do you know if a report was ever done?
I don't know. I don't know.
I know what this report says. I'm gonna let you look at this. This is not. It doesn't look like a police report. But look at that driver name and phone number. Is that your name and phone number? As far as the driver of the vehicle.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. But you told him that if there was ever a report made,
Yes.
to put your information.
Yeah, it'd be fine to put my information on it because I was going to drive it.
Okay. So Tamara Taylor was not driving that
She
car.
was not driving
Okay.
that car. Me and Scott are not buddies. I've known Scott since we were kids.
I heard y'all may have had a falling out. Is that why you left the PD?
I left the PD because all that circus that's going on just like this.
Yeah, okay.
I seen it coming. I worked for his dad 17 years, dude. I love that guy's dad's death. He's a
I've
good
heard that
guy.
about his dad. I hadn't heard anybody
Dude,
say anything
he
bad.
eat, breathe, and sleep that city. He did. Good guy. Good guy. But Scott came. He brought this dude with him. They all had their little clan going. And
Which
I'm like,
dude?
This Jason Jackson. That's the
Okay.
mayor.
They had a connection somewhere back in Jonesboro.
Big buddies from Jonesboro.
Okay.
I don't know all what's going on,
And
but
then
I could see.
they've had a falling out somewhere along the way.
I could see in the office when Jackson was in there going through shit, all sneaky about it. And I've worked there 17 years. What do you got to hide from me?
Was he a police officer?
He put him on his part-time,
Okay.
yes. And all this, and I could see he would be sneaking stuff around and leaving with it and different things. And I thought, I told Scott, I said, I'm going to tell you, I don't like your sneaky buddy. And I'm not going to work for you. I said, I worked for your dad 17 years, but I'm not going to work for you because I can see where this is going already.
Yeah.
I said, I'm out. The way they was being sneaky, not necessarily Scott, but the other guy, I was like, nah, I'm out. So, and I told him, I said, look, dude, you're going to get yourself in trouble with that guy. I'm telling you, he's a snake in the grass. Something's up. You need to get away from him. Man, he's a good guy. I want you to sit down and talk to him. I said, I'm not talking to him. I can already tell you from the way he talks at other meetings and the fire meetings and stuff, he's going to be an issue. You're going to have problems with that guy. So, but anyways, that's why I quit. I was like, dude, no, I'm out. And I tell you another thing, I sat at that office going to do a report and watch another administrator log into that computer and say, is there anybody on this computer, and change reports.
Okay.
I've seen it. With my own two eyes. They're
Which
doing,
which administrator would that
doing
be?
it from home. Sonia.
Okay.
I've watched it happen.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find something on my phone and I'll show you.
Okay.
This is me sitting back, looking at the computer screen, and I was like, why are they logging into that, changing stuff? Well, there you go. And I was just jacking around one afternoon, and I went there to do a report, and I'm like, I see the mouse start moving. And I'm like, why's that mouse moving? I'm not touching it. And then they type, is somebody on this computer? And then they start changing stuff. And before they made the report, that night at the meeting saying that they falsified a report, the mayor in the back already knew about it. And so did Tamara. And that's one of my issues with it. I thought, you know, why didn't they just come out and tell the truth in the meeting, you know, and be truthful? But see, on this one, they're changing people's status around in this one. But yeah, I'll email these two.
I appreciate it.
But that, I was like, when I seen that, I'm like, man, I don't really like the way that's going. And so I'm just going to video this a little bit. Because I'm going to cover myself. I ain't done anything illegal.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be accused of doing anything illegal.
So you're not saying that you know that they altered that?
No, I'm not saying I know that
But
they
based
are.
on what you've seen, you're
But
saying
based
it
on
could
what
be
I've
possible.
seen, I'm saying it could be very possible that that has been altered. Knowing what I know about their falling out and all that.
Yeah.
And I didn't give this to the reporter. I didn't even tell them about it.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you.
I've showed Sheriff Counts this
Yeah.
and my partner, which
Okay.
I know don't say anything.
Okay.
We're the only two people. We're the only ones that know about this besides.
I'd like to keep it that way.
Yeah.
They've started denying FOIs under the fact that we've got a criminal investigation open, so
Right.
I'd rather nothing else get released at
I
this
can
point.
guarantee you it won't be released from my phone.
Okay.
I've never sent that to anybody. Matter of fact, I never even showed that to Scott.
Okay.
And I was going to. And then in the cluster of all that going on, I'm like, dude, I'm out. I can't. You know, I can see where this is going. And it was just a gut feeling on my behalf, but now I'm glad that I listened to my gut feeling because